let's say I'm lactose intolerant, is that reversible?
So I think I think there is no 100% answer to that. Again, it'll depend factor to factor based. Say, for example, with milk, you're looking at lactase enzyme. You're looking at that not being enough in the system. They say that from the age of 3, you actually lose almost 70% of your lactase enzyme. A lot of people like our grandparents and others who've been having dairy for years together.
Right.
We do have for some people, even that much amount of tolerance is enough for them to get through an entire lifetime of having dairy. But for a lot of people, it could be that they kind of reach their threshold for it much earlier in life and they can't tolerate it anymore.
Understood.
So I think the answer really lies in seeing from case to case, and I would largely suggest that I would think that if most people who do have an intolerance to something and it does not completely eliminate or kind of recover itself, then it's important that you're having maybe some amount of it in small quantities occasionally rather than trying to make it a part of your lifestyle again.
Can you train the body slowly to start accepting some of these foods? So for example, a very popular sort of sensitization, desensitization technique in the West is if you're allergic to something, you give micro doses of that to build your tolerance to that particular thing, right? You're sort of training your immune response. Now, you've already pointed out that it's not always immune-based, right? There's also a different type of reaction that you can have, which is intolerance-based. Does that work when it comes to the digestive system? Should do micro doses of food sort of help you build up tolerance to something you can't handle?
Yeah, so I think definitely after you've kind of healed the lining of the gut and you've done all the 5-step processes, when you're adding things, I think that's the right way to go.
Okay.
That to add small amounts of the food back and try to sensitize the system to see how much can you tolerate, what is the level of endurance that the body has towards, acclimatizing to that kind of a dose as well. But I think it's, again, it's very, very specific to each person because a lot of times somebody can have maybe 4, 5, 6 small doses and they're okay with it. But there are a lot of people who may not be able to go beyond a dose or 2 if their intolerance to that food is still fairly high. So I think there are times where I think it's very important to look at the whole picture and see whether they can. So a lot of people, when you even try to do this process, you have to eventually go back to limiting that food to only once in a while because their body does not feel very happy when they're consuming that food. And it's not just about the fact that because they've kind of lost muscle memory, if you would say so, to have that food, but it's also because the body has a very overactivated response to that food even a few hours later. And there's some form of that response still shows. It could be like a really bad migraine or could be, maybe after a couple of hours, there could be a lot of like constipation or IBS-like symptoms. If there's still certain kind of symptoms like that, when you're trying the sensitization process as well, I think it's important to read between the lines and see that maybe this food is not the best food.